2018 for me has started off really great so far. The Vikings are in the playoffs, I've started streaming regularly on my channel, and the meme culture has proven it's still alive and kicking with one of the best memes ever.
I will show you the way. I will show you the way. This is the way.
I was also lucky enough to have been graced with big Nintendo news just 11 days into the new year. And to the guy who called my video predicting that direct clickbait, screw you, man, I was right, you were wrong. In all seriousness though, I was very wrong about what would be in this direct. I mean, a couple of my predictions came true, but a lot of it just left me wondering what I had just watched, honestly. But either way, I just wanted to make an off-the-cuff video about my thoughts on the January 11th, 2018 Nintendo Direct Mini. So we started off with a port, which sort of sets the tone for this entire direct. There's a whole ton of ports in here, but this first one is called The World Ends With You Final Remix. This is a DS game, a Square Enix game, with a similar art style to Kingdom Hearts. It came out around the same time, and actually I did some research on this, and they actually came out with a manga series around this game, which was created and illustrated by the same guy who does the or did the Kingdom Heart manga series, which is pretty cool. I had never played this game. I guess it was considered one of the best games of the decade, even by a bunch of reputable sources like IGN and places like that. But like I said, I hadn't heard of it before. I guess that it's like an action RPG in a sort of 2D world, similar to like the only thing I could compare it to was something like Contra or the TMNT games. I didn't 100% understand how the controls work. Apparently, a lot of the attacks were done on the touchscreen of the DS. And apparently you're going to be able to do a lot of touchscreen attacks with the Switch, which is kind of cool because I thought about that earlier in the year. Like even in August of last year, I was like, you know, it's kind of weird how they probably spend a lot of money to have the touchscreen on the Switch, but they don't really utilize it in any of their games. Like even in, well, maybe in Breath of the Wild, you can kind of tap on the menu, but in most games, you can't even use the touchscreen to even use the menu, so it's good that they're trying to get some more use out of that. I also know that there were some attacks that you could do with the microphone in the DS, which was kind of a big thing in the 2000s. Nintendo really tried to push the whole microphone concept. I remember on my GameCube I had Mario Party 6, and there were quite a few microphone mini games. That game actually came with a microphone, which was kind of cool. I don't know, I'm pretty sure that the Switch doesn't have a microphone, so I'm not sure how they're gonna carry those kind of attacks over. That was one of my biggest questions for this game. But either way, I think I'm gonna pick this up. Like I said, I haven't tried it yet, so I'm definitely willing to try it. I love that Kingdom Hearts style. This was one of my favorite periods of Japanese art in general. It was like the early 2000s to like 2007 or 2008. This was a great time for Japanese art, so definitely looking forward to that one. And that's gonna be available this year. No set date, but it's coming this year. So next up, we've got the thing that probably disappointed me the most about this direct, and also kind of kept up with another theme that I saw going on, and that was the new Pokken Fighters, which is paid DLC for Pokken Tournament DX. We get Aegislash as a new playable character, and he'll come with the Mega Rayquaza, which is pretty cool, but he's only a support Pokemon, and a Mimikyu support Pokemon, which is kind of cool. Those are two awesome Pokemon, so I can't complain about that. Also, in March, we'll be getting a Blastoise playable character, along with a couple other new support Pokemon. These are both pretty cool, but my problem is that this DLC is $15 for 2 new fighters. And the support Pokemon are kind of cool, but really they don't make a huge difference in the game. $15 for 2 new fighters on this game that is already $60, that a lot of people already paid $60 prior to spending that other $60 for. It just seems like they had the DLC for the first game, which people probably sunk like at least $15 into. Now we're paying, if anyone had bought all the content that's available for this game, they would have spent like $150 at least. And for the game, what that is, it's not a $150 game. They really should have just put these characters in with the DX version instead of just including one new character and still charging $60. Or they could have just saved the Blastoise and the Aegislash for Pokken 2. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever happen at this point, but why are we getting DLC for a game that came out 3 years ago? Why can't it just be in the DX version? This just kind of sort of set me off as soon as I saw that $15 price point. That's not as much as any other fighting game characters DLC that's come out. Either way though, that Aegislash character will be coming out on the 31st of January, and then Blastoise will be on March 23rd, I believe. Next up, we got Kirby Star Allies, which was one of the only things I was right about them talking about. We saw 2 new abilities, the Artist ability, which looked kind of cool. Kirby paints a picture of King Dedede, and then it runs and pwns some enemies. I'm not sure if you draw Dedede every time or if you draw something in your landscape. Looked kind of cool. And then the Spider ability, which basically has you shoot webs and then you can kick your opponents. It's basically like the Ice ability, just as a spider, more of a spider look to it. They also showed the Icicle Lance and Friend Throw, like combined abilities. I'm not sure what the Friend Throw thing was, but they showed off a lot of the co-op based stuff, which I definitely expected them to do. That seems like the big gimmick of this game. We also saw Meta Knight, which was kind of cool, and we saw like the big boss. I think we saw the big boss. She was like a magician, and it said we were facing a deep space threat, whatever that means. But there wasn't really anything big. One of the things that I said in my predictions video is that we would get kind of like a really big feature on this game, like we do for most big Nintendo IPs before their release. But I think this is all we're gonna get, and it really wasn't that big. But I don't know what else they can announce about this game at this point. They've kind of uncovered it all. I feel like I've seen the whole game already, to be honest. By the way, I'm excited for that one, and it's coming out March 16th. We finally got that date, so expect some more Kirby fun in March. And now, continuing with the trend of making the Switch the Nintendo port machine, we got Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, which has all the content from the 3DS and Wii U versions together. Awesome stuff. They're even gonna add Breath of the Wild outfits for Link and Zelda though, which is pretty cool. Those are my favorite Link and Zelda outfits right now. My biggest question is, where is my fish waifu? And where is Rivali? And where is Urbosa and all of those guys? I feel like that would have been so easy to put into the game and such a no-brainer really, since they just put out the amiibo for them. I don't get why they didn't do that. You never know, maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, just like the Pokken DLC, maybe they'll charge us $20 so we can play Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition with Mipha and the other 3 champions. I wouldn't put it past them at this point. I doubt that I'll get Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. I just played Fire Emblem Warriors not too long ago, and I liked the game, but it got old really quick, and Hyrule Warriors doesn't even have the party system where you can switch between characters in a battle that Fire Emblem Warriors has, which I've mentioned before made that game a whole lot more fun for me. And all of the low quality textures in those games, I'm just not very excited for that at all. I know why they did this, because people buy anything with a Zelda title in it, but I'm a little disappointed. Either way, if you are looking forward to this, it's coming spring 2018. No official date yet, but I'd imagine sometime in April or May. Next up, we got what was probably the most divisive announcement of this Direct Mini, and that's Mario Tennis Aces. Some people were very excited for this. Some people said, why would you announce this casual crap at the beginning of the year and kill all of our vibes? But I am personally pretty hyped for it. I used to love the Mario Power tennis game on GameCube. I don't think I ever owned this. I was thinking about this earlier. I remember renting this week after week. My mom would let me rent one video game a week every Friday. So thank you, Mom. And I would always get that Mario Power tennis game, or at least pretty frequently, because I liked it so much. So it might be a little nostalgia for me, but either way, I'm pretty excited for it. The story mode looks super cool. Instead of just like, they could have easily just thrown in a Grand Prix mode like they did with ARMS and just have you play through all the characters, ascending difficulty. But it looks like they're doing kind of what they did in Kingdom Battle, where there'll be an overworld in between your matches to give you something to do so it doesn't just feel so monotonous. I really liked Kingdom Battle because it wasn't just battle after battle. In between worlds, there was a whole overworld where there wasn't necessarily platforming puzzles, but there was certain puzzles to solve if you wanted to. It just gave the game a little more oomph, I guess. I think that this game looks a little more stylized than most Mario Tennis games. A lot of people were talking about how they would have preferred like a Strikers reboot of some type, but I think this one kind of has those more serious undertones that Strikers has. I think that's the reason that a lot of people love Strikers, is because it had a more like gritty tone than most Mario games, and definitely most Mario sports games. And it looks like this game could kind of bring that grittier tone. I'm very optimistic about it, and apparently it's coming this spring, which is awesome. Expecting that again around April or May. I know Dark Souls is in May, so probably getting this one around April, in between Kirby and Dark Souls. So don't worry, the port train has not left the station yet. We got our next big port here, which is a game or even series that I had never heard of before, but apparently it's been going on for 3 decades now, and that is Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Donna. This is an action RPG. Like I said, it's been going on since the 80s under my watch, but looks kind of like a mix between Xenoblade Chronicles and Monster Hunter to me. It's kind of like Monster Hunter, where you go out and fight and search for these big beasts, but there's more of a story to it, like Xenoblade. Looks kind of cool to me. I'm not 100% sure that I'll pick it up though, especially with Dark Souls coming out this year. It looks very similar to Dark Souls and Monster Hunter, like that type of game. But the thing that I dislike about what I saw is that the guy who was playing was getting like a lot of hits in on this monster, so it looks like you're just gonna be beating the crap out of this thing. Whereas in Dark Souls, it's kind of more meticulous and more like you have to time your 1 or 2 hits that you're gonna get exactly right. So, and then wait a few minutes. It's more meticulous and skill-based than just like a grind fest. This game looks like it could get that Dynasty Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, Hyrule Warriors type of feel, where you're just endlessly slicing through millions and millions of enemies. Endless. Oh my goodness. I can't stand that stuff. So I'm not 100% sure I'll pick this game up. But either way, if you like games like this, it's coming out summer 2018. And next we got one of the highlights of this Direct, in my opinion. This is the Super Mario Odyssey update. I'm gonna admit, when I first saw this, I thought we were getting a playable Luigi. So my expectations were kind of a little high, but what we got wasn't too bad. It's a new mini game for, from what I understand, every kingdom in the game. And what you do is there's 2 modes for this mini game. You can either go hide a balloon anywhere in the kingdom, or you can find a balloon that someone has hidden already. So basically what I thought this is kind of like a create your own power moon type of thing. I wouldn't doubt that they started this idea like, how can we make it so that players can hide power moons wherever they want and then have other players go try to find those power moons. And that's basically what this game is. It's not a huge deal, but I think that this mini game really makes this game kind of timeless. It kind of makes it so that you can play it over and over. Even if you've collected all of the power moons, there's now even more technically power moons for you to collect that other people have hidden, which is really cool. I didn't know how I felt about this at first, but I think it's a pretty cool thing they're doing. And plus it's a free update, which I can't complain about, especially with all the other paid stuff that was announced at this Direct. So expect this coming out in February. I don't think that there was an exact release date yet, but this will be out in February for everyone who has owned and beaten the game. This next one, I'm not 100% why they even threw this in here. This is SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, which is a fighting game that brings together all of the famous females from the SNK Neo Geo game universe. I didn't know there was a universe behind all of those games, but I guess there is. And they're all coming together for one big fighting game. Weebs rejoice, that's all I can say. I mean, it's a bunch of anime girls fighting each other. Nothing too innovative here. There's a lot of customization options for all of the girls. You know, you can put your rabbit ears on them. You can put your kitty ears on them. You can give them some cool sunglasses. Put them in some nice little tank tops. Looks pretty sweet to me. They also announced Art of Fighting 2, the next Neo Geo game, continuing this year-long trend, almost year-long trend of releasing a Neo Geo game for $7.99 every week. Seems like every week we get that new Neo Geo game, which I wouldn't be so bothered by if we didn't have any other virtual console games, or if we didn't not have any other virtual console games. There's no NES games, there's no Super NES games, there's no Sega Genesis games. All we've got is a bunch of Neo Geo games. I don't understand it. This game isn't this SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, which by the way, this is just such a weeb game. Like, only weebs will buy this. You know, when they have all that sexual innuendo in the title, like Tag Team Frenzy, like, oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. And it's not even going to be a Nintendo exclusive. This is also coming on PS4. I'm sorry if I talk so much crap about this and you're really excited for it. It's coming out this summer. There's no official date yet, but another cool new fighting game for Switch coming this summer. And next up, we got the playable Donkey Kong announcement for Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which was sort of unexpected, but looking back, I probably should have seen it coming, considering we've been promised new story content for this game since its release, and we've heard nothing about it, so here it is. I think this is it. Back when the Season Pass released, they said that it would come with a few gun packs and then a new story content revolved around a familiar hero, which I thought would be Rayman, and a lot of people thought that too, but I guess it's looking like it's going to be Donkey Kong. They didn't say that there would be story content around it, but it looked like he was in sort of like a jungle world, so that's probably going to be a thing. He had a banana boomerang that he used to throw and hurt people. He wasn't shown with any guns, which was an interesting thing. All of the characters in the game had some type of specific gun type, but DK didn't have any. Maybe he just used that banana. Maybe he's like a purely melee character. Who knows? That could be cool, I guess. My one concern about this is that they didn't really say that this is going to be a part of the Season Pass, even though when they initially advertised the Season Pass, they said that this new story content would come with it. And they didn't say anything explicitly, but I also went to the Season Pass section of the eShop, and it said that that the season pass would include that pixel pack that they initially released, along with 2 other new gun packs, which would be the steampunk pack and then whichever one came after that. But they're already released, so it looks like that's where it's gonna stop, which would kind of suck, because if they charged another $20 for that DK story content, that would end up being $100 sunk into this game, which honestly I'll probably end up spending anyway because I really like the game. But still, that's kind of ridiculous, especially if they promised that they would put this in the season pass when they were selling it and then retracted that statement, and now it's just, I can't find anything about it. But hopefully it's a part of the season pass, and hopefully he's a fun character to play. We didn't really see anything about when it would be released, but hopefully soon. Next, we got Payday 2, which we've been waiting for literally a year now. They announced a new Switch exclusive character called Joy, which has she looks pretty cool, I'll be honest. I don't like this game at all, but the new character looks kind of cool. She's got this electronic mask with split down the middle, and then both sides of her faces are like Joy-Con colors, and her name's Joy, which is kind of cool. I guess she's got some type of hacking skills, whatever. I'm not sure if Joy will be included with the Switch edition, or if she'll just be another DLC character, which would be ridiculous, because if you don't know about this game has a lot of paid DLC characters already released, and I imagine they'll treat this like they did with Xenoverse 2 and Rocket League, where they'll just put all of those already established things you can buy onto the eShop. So that could be potentially a lot of money that they could make there. No cross-platform play here announced. They said that it would be just on the Switch, so it could be hard to find matches online with this game if it doesn't perform well, which I don't think it's going to perform very well at all. And you might end up playing with a lot of the same people over and over, which could be bad if you have toxic people. I really think that if they do games like this, they should do it like Rocket League did and make it cross-platform so that you can always find someone to play with. If these lowly little indie developers that made Rocket League, Psyonix, can make cross-platform play so quickly. I mean, they did it really quick. That port isn't perfect, but the online runs really smoothly, and they did it in a reasonable amount of time. Now Payday is here a year after its first announcement, and there's no cross-platform play and really nothing new about the game. So kind of a disappointment there, especially when you compare it to Rocket League. But it's coming February 27th. We finally got the date. So if you like those heists and shooting people up in masks and whatnot online, get excited. February 27th. So now they put the port train in park for at least a couple of minutes and moved on to the indie section of this direct, and started off with the game Faye, which I hadn't seen before. I don't think they'd talked about this in any directs, which makes sense. It's not a Switch exclusive, but this is a 3D platformer in this sort of neon psychedelic forest type of setting. Apparently it's got quite a few influences from Nordic lore, which is part of my heritage, so they grabbed me with that. My one problem with this is it's being developed by Zoink Games, but if you saw in the video, it is being published by the EA Originals title, which is something EA is doing to, in my opinion, kind of clean up their name, say, hey, we have these other games that aren't big AAA money grabbers. The EA are kind of like the big super villains of the gaming industry right now. They put out Battlefront 2 last year, which had way too many microtransactions, as well as Mass Effect Andromeda, which was kind of the same situation. So I kind of want to boycott EA. Part of me wants to boycott them, but this game looks really fun, and I will probably give it a try. We also got the Celeste portion of the direct, which we've seen a lot of. We've known this is coming since early in the Switch's life cycle, maybe even before it was released, but now we finally have a release date that's coming January 25th, I believe. And this is a 2D 16-bit platformer, really tough, like a very tough platformer, not for the faint-hearted. But yeah, that's coming soon, so look forward to that. And the final big Nintendo IP port that we got from this Direct is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which was a wonderful platformer for the Wii U. Actually, one of the only games that I played on the Wii U, but I would consider picking it up again. It is even heralded as one of the greatest platformers of all time. It's a straight port, great game. They do have a new character, which is kind of a new character. It's Funky Kong, who is surfing on this surfboard. But the thing about it is, if you don't want the game to be extremely easy, you're not going to be able to use Funky Kong, because he's basically just an easy mode. He can jump in the air like multiple times. He can just ride over spikes with no damage taken. You can roll endlessly through enemies and just kill everything through the stage. So he's kind of just easy mode. So if you want a challenge, you can't even play the new character, but it's a great game. I can't be mad. Maybe if it was riddled in with less ports in this Direct, it would have been received better, but just it kind of got hazy with all of these ports. But that's coming May 4th. Like I said, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Might pick it up again. And finally, the thing that made everything in this Direct okay, our good friends at From Software, thank you so much, I love you guys, are bringing us Dark Souls Remastered with a beautiful teaser trailer and a good lead up to it. The whole thing was kind of crap, even just the way the video was made, and at the end they finally had some sort of mystery. He says, "And now, Switch fans, we've got something in store for you. Something wicked this way comes." I was like, I got chills. I was like, And then that black scene leading up to that bonfire just sparking up. If anyone is watching this has played Dark Souls, you know that feeling that you get when you light up a bonfire, especially one that you've been working towards for days, or one that you just randomly find after a very hard encounter. These bonfires they mean a lot to us, and that scene, even though it showed no gameplay at all, was very powerful. I'm so excited for Dark Souls. I know that a lot of people could really care less. A lot of like real Nintendo fans who only play Nintendo games could really care less about it, but to have something like this on the go is so great. The gameplay plays so well into that idea. This is gonna be awesome. I will put hundreds of hours into Dark Souls Remastered, just like I did with Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. This is coming out May 25th, which was awesome. I'm so glad we got a date and we weren't just left wondering if it'll come out in the holidays or next month. May 25th, which will make May a good month for us. So yeah, expect Dark Souls Remastered this May. So much hype. So like I said, I was very wrong about what I thought would be in this Direct. There was no Bayonetta. There was no Pokemon. I mean, we didn't even get any new Yoshi information, which I thought we would get for sure. And because of that, I was slightly underwhelmed with this Direct, I'll be completely honest. But there was enough cool stuff to where I can't say that I was completely disappointed with it. I haven't heard about this yet though. Apparently within 20 days of every Nintendo Direct Mini, there has been a big follow-up Direct that's been more of the size of what we saw last September or last January. Now, this doesn't guarantee another Direct at all, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a big Direct explaining more of the online system and maybe including more of the things that I and everyone else thought were gonna be in this Direct. You never know. Hopefully we see that bigger Direct towards the end of January. But either way, let me know your thoughts on this Direct that we do have down in the comments. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel for the latest Switch content available. This is Max from Max Culture, and thank you for watching.